Hello children, today we will start our lecture from the heading Terms Involved in Electrolysis. So the fourth heading is electrolytic cell. The device in which electrolysis is carried out is called the electrolytic cell. So this is the first definition of electrolytic cell. Electrolytic cell is the device in which electrolysis is taking place, or voltmeter, which contains electrodes and the electrolytic solution. So electrolytic cell is a device which is made up of a non-conducting vessel with electrolytic solution and electrodes. So two electrodes will be there in electrolytic cell, one electrolytic solution and one non-conducting vessel. Okay, so these all part of electrolytic cell will together form apparatus which is known as electrolytic cell. The next heading is electrodes. Electrodes allow the electric current to enter or leave the electrolytic solution. So electrodes are giving passage to the electricity to enter in the cell or to exit from the cell. The electrodes are 2 in number. So always keep in your mind, electrode will be 2 in number and are made up of metal or carbon. So electrodes are generally made up of metal, but sometimes non-metals are also used for the preparation of electrode, and the one example is carbon. Graphite, which is the form of carbon, electrodes are used. So when we use graphite as electrodes, when the products formed during electrolysis react with the metallic electrodes. So the product, if the product is of such type which can be react with metallic electrodes, so in that condition we will use electrodes made up of graphite. The electrodes are connected to a battery via a key or a switch. So with the help of key or switch, we can close the circuit for the flow of electricity, or we can open the circuit to stop the flow of electricity. And depending on their connection to the battery are classified as anode or cathode. So electrodes always, I told you already here, that 2 in numbers, okay students, which are connected to a source of electricity which is generally a battery via a key or switch. So key or switch used to complete the circuit for the flow of electricity, or to make incomplete the circuit to stop the flow of electricity. Okay students, as you can see from here, in this key or switch is present here. Okay, so when we close this key or switch, the circuit will be completed and flow of electricity will start, and if we will open this key or switch, then circle will become incomplete and the flow of electricity will stop. Okay, so electrodes are 2 in number, which are classified anode as anode and cathode. Okay, so the name or the type of electrode is depend upon that from which terminal of the battery they are connected. Now next heading is difference between anode and cathode. Anode, it is a positive electrode or positive terminal of the cell. Anode is the positive pole, positive terminal or positive electrode of the cell, and shown with plus sign. Same way cathode is negative terminal or negative electrode of the cell, shown with minus sign. Then first point, it is the electrode connected to the positive terminal of the battery. So keep in your mind, that it is not pre-decided that this particular rod of the metal or non-metal will behave as anode or cathode. Okay, it's only depend upon the connection with the terminal of the battery. So the electrode which is connected positive terminal of the battery is known as anode or positive pole of the cell. Same way, cathode is the electrode of the cell which is connected negative terminal of the battery. The electrode hence acquires a positive charge during electrolysis. So anode is positive electrode of the cell, hence ions which are negatively charged, that is anions, migrate to the anode. So because anode is positive terminal of the cell, that is why anions migrate towards the anode. Okay, so towards the positive terminal of the cell, negative ions migrate. The electrode hence acquires negative charge. So cathode is negative terminal of the cell, hence ions which are positively charged, that is cations, migrate to the cathode. Okay students, so towards the cathode positive ions migrates and towards the anode negative ions migrates. Next point, the anions donate excess electrons. So anions are the negatively charged atoms or group of atoms having excess of electron, so donate excess electrons to the anode. So anions will donate their excess electron to the anode and are oxidized to neutral atoms. As you can see from here that at anode Cl minus ions are oxidized in the form of Cl atom by loss of electron, minus 1 electron. Okay, so this Cl ion is having unit negative charge, and this unit negative charge will be evolved by this Cl minus ion, and then it will be converted in the form of neutral atom. Okay students, so loss of electron is known as oxidation. So at anode this oxidation reaction is taking place, and the product which is formed under oxidation reaction is known as oxidized product. So anode is a oxidizing electrode of the electrolytic cell. Same way, the cations gain excess electrons from the cathode. So cations, as you can see from this sodium ion, it will gain electrons from the cathode and get converted into its reduced form. So overall reduction reaction is taking place at cathode, and that is why cathode is known as reducing electrode of the cell. The anode is the oxidizing electrode by which electrons leave the electrolyte. Loss of electrons from an atom or ion is called oxidation. Hence oxidation takes place at anode. Okay students, but the cathode is the reducing electrode by which electrons enter the electrolyte. Gain of electrons by an atom or ion is called reduction. Hence reduction takes place at the cathode. So reducing electrode is cathode. Okay, reducing electrode by which electrons enter the electrolyte. Okay, so gain of electron is taking place here and overall reduction reaction is here. That is why reducing electrode, cathode is the reducing electrode of the cell. Okay, so at anode oxidation reaction is taking place, at cathode reduction reaction is taking place. So these two reactions are taking place in a electrolytic cell. That is why you can say that in electrolytic cell redox reaction is taking place simultaneously. Oxidation and reduction both are occurring at once simultaneously. The next heading is ions. They are atoms or groups of atoms which carry a positive or a negative charge and become free and mobile when an electric current is passed through an aqueous solution of a chemical compound. So ions are the positive or negative charge atoms or group of atoms. Okay students, and become mobile or free. They start moving when an electric current is passed through aqueous solution of chemical compound. Okay students, aqueous solution of a chemical compound means aqueous solution of electrolyte. So when we pass electric current through a aqueous solution of any electrolyte, the positive or negative ions become free or mobile. Depending on the type of electric charge carried by an ion is further classified into anions and cations. So overall there are two types of ions, anions and cations. So anions are the negatively charged ions, whereas cations are the positively charged ions. Anions are also known as non-metallic ions. Non-metallic ions, and cations are also known as metallic ions. Okay students, metallic ions and non-metallic ions. So anions, they are negatively charged ions, whereas cations are the positively charged ions. They migrate to the anode. Anions are negatively charged, that is why they migrate towards the positively charged electrode, and that is anode. And cations migrate towards the cathode during electrolysis. They donate or lose electrons to the anode. Cations lose their electron and get oxidized to neutral atoms, whereas cations accept or gain electrons, and that is why a reduction process is taking place at cathode. Okay, and positive ion get converted in the form of its neutral atom by gain of electron. So a reduced product is formed here. Okay students, so these are the differences between anions and cations. Thank you.